Hello everyone, Sorbold here. I originally planned on doing this video earlier this month, but due to my very busy schedule, that ended up not happening. Um, you may remember from my my last video that I wrote that I was going to do a follow-up video. I'm going to wait until December 4th to do that one because that will be making a full month since not December 4th, December 6th. So then that'll make it a full month since the big nationwide election happens, just for a matter of putting things in perspective. Plus, there's a lot of other stuff I want to cover in that video as well, so I'll just save it all for one shot. The last couple of weeks of this month, let's just say I've got some good news and I've got some not so good news. For the sake of being positive, I'll give you the not so good news first. Unfortunately, my Nintendo 3DS is going to be out of commission for at least the next 4 weeks. It all started with the one of the shoulder buttons that suddenly stopped working, and then a couple of days ago, one of the A button on my 3DS stopped working altogether. And in light of the camera, the inner camera that I used at Anime Boston 2012, suddenly like the lens feels like it's being obscured by something. I'm shipping it to get fixed either today or on Monday. So I'm not going to have my 3DS for the next 2 or 3 weeks at the very least. It's a bit of a bummer because I can take that thing with me everywhere I go, and anyone who has either a 3DS or a PlayStation Vita or an Xbox or any other game system of the current gen game systems know that video games are not just for playing anymore. Game systems are not just for playing video games anymore. You can do a lot more than what you could do 20 years ago. So it's a bit of a bummer in that sense that I'm not going to have it for a couple of weeks. I mean, I can live on without it, but I'm just a little used to having it all the time. As sort of some good news, though, I did get a new laptop yesterday. It wasn't part of the Black Friday sale, but it was on sale. And I'm going to have a link over to the computer that I bought posted on my WordPress blog so that you guys can see the specs on it, as well as you can also, it's kind of like the weird thing when I bought it though. I only paid $350 for the thing, and compared to my previous laptop, I paid $1,068.97 for that. And at the time that I bought my other laptop, it was a pretty high-end computer, but the new one that I just bought yesterday, I got it for a fraction of what I paid for my first laptop, and it's 3 times as powerful. I mean, my laptop has already shown me that it can do things that my desktop can't do, which is a little scary, but I'll get over it. It's also my first Windows 8 computer, and for those that are resisting getting Windows 8, I will tell you, yes, I hate the news interface. I think, seeing as I have an Xbox 360 as well, as you can see in the background, I can comment on this. It's better suited for something like that, or the Microsoft Surface, which is Microsoft's equivalent of the iPad. But for a computer, hell no. I just what I did to get around that was I downloaded an app called Start Menu X so that I can get the classic Start menu back, because that's what I'm most comfortable with when I'm using a Windows computer. And I've gone ahead and done that on my laptop. And at the very least, I can say, although I'm probably going to have to get some work done on my desktop sometime next year, I'm going to resist getting Windows 8 as long as humanly possible. If not, just to avoid having to deal with that whole interface thing again. I just don't like it. I mean, in the overwhelming reviews that people have been sending to Microsoft is they hate the interface on their computers. I mean, it just doesn't work. I mean, again, iPhone with Xbox 360, Windows Surface, that's one thing. Computer, no. That's the one thing, kind of familiarity, that I think that people need to be allowed to keep, you know? And I'm secretly hoping that Microsoft in an update, permanently gives us back the start menu and taskbar because we need it back. Moving on, as some of you may know from earlier, if you've been following my blogs, I got a couple of new video games. The first one is WWE 7 for the Xbox 360. And those of you that are into the WWE, that's the WWE Champion CM Punk on the cover. And the back of the box says "Live the Revolution." That's a direct reference to the and yes, that's Stone Cold Steve Austin that you're looking at. That's in direct reference to the Attitude Era, which you can play through in its entirety in WWE 7. And speaking of which, the WWE recently released a DVD set on the Attitude Era, which many consider to be the WWE's best years. I mean, me personally, I am with a group that is against this whole PG era that they're going through right now, in which they're not really pushing the envelope on this, like they did in the Attitude Era. And considering that I lived that as a kid, that's what I have to compare the WWE now to. And as an aside, I actually did take an 8.5 year hiatus from watching the WWE because I just got so sick of the way things were going. And the only reason I watch nowadays is for the Undertaker's annual WrestleMania runs, more or less. And that's basically the only reason I watch wrestling these days. Getting back to the game itself, though, you can any kind of match you'd like to have, you can pretty much do. You can also create a number of custom superstars as well as download some that people have created. The WWE said that they're going to include Ryback, but you can get an unofficial version of him from the from the special downloads interface that they have in this game. And I would definitely say this game is a barrel of awesome if you have fun memories of the Attitude Era, and even if you're just an avid fan of the WWE, it's worth checking out at the very least. The other two games that I bought, Crosswords Plus and Harvest Moon: A New Beginning. I'm going to speak to Harvest Moon first. This particular game is a pretty big departure from its predecessor, Tale of Two Towns, which I also have. And even though it doesn't have Street Pass, which is something that I missed from Tale of Two Towns, the game takes customization to a whole new level, in which you literally are building the town from scratch. And I mean that in every sense of the word. Like the farm, you get to pick where the plots of land go. In the village, the purpose of the game is to rebuild the town to get people to come back, to move in. So that's pretty much what you're going to do, in addition to growing crops and raising animals. I think I'm in the middle of summer in the game, and I've had the game for a couple of weeks now. But again, due to my problems with my 3DS, I'm not going to be playing it for a while. And the other game that I bought 2 days later is Crosswords Plus. This game is purely a touchscreen game, but it's pretty good if you're in a waiting room or you're on the train or bus or something and you need to kill a few minutes. This game takes care of that problem for you. It's basically, I'm just going to say, even though the cover box says over 1,000 puzzles, easily just a fraction of that number will keep you busy for weeks on end. I mean, I'm not working. There's a giant puzzle that word search puzzle that I've been working on for a full week now, and I'm not even close to getting finished yet. I mean, I have about 4 words left I think I have to find, but as of right now, I've clocked in over 50 minutes just on that puzzle alone, and I have a rare weakness for word searches. But there you go. That's pretty much that. I'm going to have a couple more videos up in the next couple of hours, or at the very least before the end of this month. So you guys can look out for that. And I'm going to have a couple more blogs too. If you haven't been keeping up with those, you might want to check it out, though. All right, guys, take care and have fun.